Hello, sports fans around the world, and welcome back to the NRL SuperCoach BDE Podcast. We are the best draft experts here to unpack the round 7 team lists and give you all of that juicy analysis on who to pick up off waivers or free agency. As always, the boys with me, Simo and the Todd Mount. Simo, how are you, sir?
I'm really good, mate. Thanks for having us on again. Talk a bit of footy. It's it's a lot happening, isn't it? It's just Lockie Galvin headlines wherever we go. So we'll probably try and hit that nail on the head early because I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing about him. But unfortunately, there is a super coach aspect as well, which we'll get to. But yeah, rough chat if you're a West Tigers fan at this point.
It's really makes it easier to support whichever team that you currently do that isn't the Tigers. As bad as it looks, it's not like your young gun disappearing off into the sunset. That's just brutal. Todd Mount,
it's happened
bring us some
every
joy.
time. Every time.
It does. Bring us some joy, Todd Mount.
Hey, mates. Yeah, look, the Galvin thing's taken over the news in the NRL today, so that's been exciting to watch. But, yeah, big impacts for Supercoach, so I'm looking forward to getting our stuck into it and sinking our teeth into this one.
Look, it was a decent effort, mate, and that pink hat is really just bringing it up the sexiness, so I will pay it, mate. Well done. Hello to those online who have joined us again. Good to have our listeners join in for some commentary. Looking forward to getting stuck in. There's a bit about it this week. So we will start with the Sea Eagles versus the Plucky Dragons. And I'll go straight to the Dragons, boys, because one name that needs to be discussed looked like he might have been injured. Cannot believe he's not starting this week after his great performance is Dylan Egan. Now, this is a tough one to advise on now because obviously looked outstanding. 99 he downgraded to in the end, but still brilliant for those chasing 2RFs. He's not starting. Lucy with his one flashy pass to Val, admittedly, gorgeous, sumptuous pass that got the fans excited. What the hell are you going to do here, Simo?
Yeah, you've really got to plant your flag somewhere on where you stand about whether Lucy's going to actually keep that starting role or not. I'm sort of more in the camp that he won't. I'm going to look at this on sort of the optimistic side as an Egan potential waiver, or even if you own him, then well done to you. But in terms of like spending a high waiver, I wouldn't shy away from going hard at Egan. I can't believe the role he got first game out. Like he was playing pretty much the role I'd love for the Dolphins to play Tommy Gilbert in, which is start on an edge, push into the middle when the forwards need a rest, and then sort of float between middle and edge the rest of the game. And he pumped out the whole 80 minutes. Obviously, he had that issue at the end with the elbow or whatever it was, but I honestly think that's all it is. That it's probably holding him back from being named as the starter would be that question mark over the injury. I wouldn't begrudge Flanagan if he was to put Egan on the bench just to look after that knock. I'm going to use that as a buying opportunity. Maybe there's people out there in your league that won't waiver him because of that. They think that Lucy's got the start back, and I'd pounce. I think it's a bit of a mirage there, so I'd jump all over Egan as a bona fide number one claim.
Fully agree, Simo. It's rare we do, mate, but I think you're right. I think it's a mirage. Todd's is nodding in agreement there. Get on it. The kid looks brilliant for Supercoach. What a friendly game. Work rate plus a little bit of flair. There's a bit of energy about him too. So I'm with you. That's an early, put it this way, it's going to take a bit in this potty to make him not number one, it's fair to say. Very disappointed to see that Sione Finau with the preseason darling has not quite snuck into the wing spot over Matt Fine. Tell you what, depending on how long your man Tuipulotu is out for, Todd, Sione could still, he's named 18, could still come in. Do you feel like it just have him as a stash? Because, geez, he looked good preseason. Left winger for the Dragons has been very good, mate.
I feel like they've named Matt Fangai. They're going to stick with that. I wouldn't be stashing him, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Simo, any interest, mate? Just left wing of the Dragons appears to be where their money is. I think there could be something there.
Yeah, look, there's something there for sure, left winger for the Dragons, but I'm just going to state the obvious. Like, that's Matt Fine. So I see why you'd stash Finau, hoping that he ends up getting named. But, I mean, it's pretty gross to recommend either of the Fine brothers. But at this point, if he's playing left wing for the Dragons, he should just be able to fall over for a try or two. So don't hate him as a really low-end waiver. Definitely not top 5, but probably better as a free agent if you can somehow swing it that way.
Fair play. Over to another winger who's returned. The sub. He's in. He has hit some upside early season, ran out of form in the middle as DCE and team have struggled a little bit, but you got to think the matchup is all right. If he was dropped, he's a pretty decent plug and play this week. Yes or no? Both of you don't need any deeper analysis.
Yeah, sure. Get behind Jason Saab. Not like me.
That's what his best mates are.
Not an oversell. Simple yes, Simo. Decent enough as a fourth plug and play.
Yeah, he's a decent. You're probably not going to have 4 higher upside CTWs, so yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll give Toddy credit though, mate. Xavier Coates had an outing last week.
Xavier Coates will get to Xavier in his 104 outing where he just.
Oh man, what a spreadsheet that was.
Todd, it's made your preseason look brilliant as that one score's boosted his average into the mid 60s. So
I think I had him in the 60s average, boys. I think that's where I had him too.
Genius.
Wherever you had him ranked, he has to be better than that, and that's credit to you.
SuperCoach is a funny old game. It's just like Fifi Darling's having a magnificent season if you look at his average now. He's tucked into the 60s. Go figure. But such is the SuperCoach upside merry-go-round. The other player that I wanted to mention here is Tolo Kula. Work rate up a little bit. Starting to get on the ball. Maybe this is the turn. Just want to bring it up. If you didn't pick him up last week because you were thinking it was a 1-week mirage, I at least think he's earned pick him up and have a look status. Any disagreement, Simo?
This one annoyed me so much because I was so off him last week, and he literally had a junk time try assist to DCE with 30 seconds to go to bump him up to a 58. Look, I'm going to take it as a win, obviously, but I'll also give you some credit here, Redford, because he would have still scored, 38 without that. So, to your point, that's probably higher than we've expected from Kohler before. So your statement still holds some value there. So, yeah, I don't hate him as a free agent. I definitely wouldn't be going any harder because I still don't fully buy in. I'm not going to go there just because there was a little bit of that luck factor in that score at 58. So, a
little bit.
Yeah, just a free agent for mine and see how you go. But to be honest, personally, I would look elsewhere, but I could see why you would.
Well, I've looked there in the Listener League, and I took my 58 as one of my better CT dub scores. So we'll continue to play him in at least 12-team leagues or deeper. I agree with you in a 10-teamer. It's probably not necessary. All right. That's all there is for Manly. Moving on down. The site I'm on has a picture of an injured Matt Burton, but that's not the case, boys. He's back. Huge for the Dogs, who are already cranking along pretty well. For those who play that other code, bad luck. Toby Sexton's not going to break records for kicking in-game anymore. It's a Matty Burton show. Obviously, he wasn't dropped in any serious or competitive leagues other than maybe 8-teamers, I suppose. If he is, then he's your Galvin replacement. Get on him. Also keen to see the return of Vili Kickout, which is very exciting for their team as well. There's really not much here, is there, boys? Like, this team is kind of pretty settled for your starting units. Daniel Saluka-Fifita continued to look, he looks good, as he did a couple of weeks ago before the bye, but not enough minutes yet. So, no comments here, lads. Nothing exciting.
Nothing good, doggies. No.
The Bunnies do have the return of a man who's been discussed far too much for my liking on this potty in Cody Walker. Actually comes back, which is an incredible surprise, to be fair. I hamstring his age, thought he wouldn't see him for a while. So Lewis Dodd, strangely named in 14. What do you make of it, Todd?
Yeah, this seems like they're letting Cody sort of play out the whole week and see if he's fit come game day by having Lewis Dodd on the bench, and then that's what I would think they were going to be doing with that one.
So, can you start? I mean, Cody Walker in this matchup. No. I know a couple of weeks ago I said maybe not against the Bulldogs.
No, Bulldogs are way too good defensively to start here.
Still pick him up if he was dropped. I'm still behind the free agent pickup. I thought he looked a bit better with Latrell back before he got injured, so I'm okay with it, but I wouldn't be going too hard. UNA can look pretty good. I would imagine most competitive leagues have already squared him away. But the man on the outside, Campbell Graham, May have been dropped in some leagues out there. I know he was dropped in our league of record through, roster management necessity. It's been a shocking start to the year for him, and a risk of another injury is just around the corner, but he easily still goes back into third, fourth CTW calculations. Is there a waiver claim to be had here, Simo?
Yeah, look, I've got to backtrack a bit here because I was off in Mega a few podcasts ago. I was pretty much just saying it's a lost season for Campbell Graham, and it may well still be. Like it's we don't know how his body's going to hold up over a long season, but as we sit here now, the fact that he's playing wing for the Bunnies, I think you have to just look at him as a week by week proposition. And if you can get it, if you just say Cowboys winger on waivers with pedigree like he has, I think you have to at least look. I think it's probably justifiable to spend a mid to low tier waiver on him just to find out. I wouldn't feel super confident to go any higher than top 5, maybe on even top 7, but it depends what you need this week. If you're someone who's been running out Murray Taulagi, or even Jackson Purdue, who's had a good start to the year, and you're really just looking at your waivers and you need someone, I think he's worth a shout. It's one of those times where, look, it's 3 or 4 weeks from now, if he comes back and he doesn't get injured, he looks good again, there could be massive value there. So I think to own him, you're going to have to pony up a waiver, and you just got to play it by ear on what you think you need to do to go grab a goal like that.
Agreed. He's a decent option, and he'll be on the left, we presume.
He's always
been a right side one. He's a right side winger, isn't he? So I'm a bit confused, or right side centre, I should say, normally.
If I was Wayne Bennett, I would actually try and switch him to the left this week to be on Kiraz, because obviously Kiraz is such an aerial threat, and Campbell Graham's one of the better defensive centres, both in general play, but also off the kick. So I think Wayne Bennett, if he's pretty bright, will try and sort of take some from Kiraz away. Alternatively, if Campbell Graham does play right, then obviously he's got the height advantage on Montoya. So it could go both ways. And sort of history would make me think he'll play right, because he has done that most of his career, if not all of it. But, man, it would make for a bloody sexy left edge if he goes over there. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's almost a 50-50 proposition. You'd almost have to see him line up at training to know what's happening there. Alex Johnson, boys, did he get injured again?
Yeah, I think it was hamstring.
Bugger.
I think
that's not good. All right, over to the suddenly surging Dolphins versus the Melbourne Storm. Dolphins are pretty solid, as you'd imagine, after beating Penrith, so there, no changes there. No real changes to the SuperCoach outlook other than Averillo had a pretty good day. Good luck to him. He seems to be on that 4th, 5th bubble again. I'm not going to go into great detail. Just he can plug a gap for you and probably be okay. Tom Gilbert playing on the edge, boys. Yeah, we're in big trouble here. Big trouble. He's just not an edge. He's not an edge back rower. Let's just not even beat around the bush. Real life or SuperCoach, you're going to keep plugging him out there, but you're not going to get any value on a sale. And, geez, you're going to regret. You're not going to love starting him. So, I don't know. Todd, any advice? There's not much you can do, is there?
Not much you can do, really. You're not going to get any trade value back for him just because he's been so bad. He's lost that sort of name from last year. So, yeah, I reckon you sort of ride it out. And if you've got a better 2RF, you can play in that third 2RF role. Just definitely get them in there because he's not offering much on the edge.
Bye-week filler, unfortunately. Over to the Storm. So, Willie Warbrick still out with these the concussion issues. So, shout out to him. Hopefully, he's doing okay. Same as Big Nass. So, that means Farlongo comes in to the wing. Now, there is something to be had there on this back line, boys. We've seen Grant Anderson explode. Your man, Xavier Coates, Toddy, just looked like the best CTW out there. You got to get on board. If you're the Pappen owner, hopefully you've had this guy stashed as your back, your replacement if Pappen goes down. But I think you can easily play him in this matchup as well. And I've got a feel as though if he's out there, boys, you're going to want to get a piece. How big a waiver claim, Todd?
Well, the question really is how long is he going to be in the team for? That's the only my own real issue. So I don't know if I'd be spending my top waiver claim on Sewer. I think if you're looking at that mid to late, I think that's where I would go. I wouldn't be like I've got the number one waiver in ours, and I wouldn't be spending it on Sewer, just in terms of job security.
Depends on how badly you need to win as well. It's one
True.
of those spots. If you're down bad at the moment, you need to make a comeback. He could be a bit upside for a couple of weeks because Willie Warbrick, there's no update. He keeps going up. He's missed a couple of weeks now after trying to come back, so we don't know. I think I'm with you, Todd. I wouldn't break the bank for him. And handcuff is the word that eluded me before, obviously, if you're the Pappen owner. So if you're the Pappen owner, well done. You get Tufa. Aside from that in this team, really nothing else to report again. Trent Liera with a lucky try to get him over the 50 mark. So thanks, Trent. Needed that, baby. That was a big moment for some of us.
Yeah, you needed that.
It's a big moment for some of us. Love you, Trent. Love you, Trent. Yeah, he stayed off the pitch for a long time. That was very worrying, which was the threat we discussed last week. So get on Josh King, by the way. Cannot stop scoring tries. Super coach, honestly.
Works hard, Josh King. Like him. Like the cut of his jib.
He set up Liero's, didn't he? As well. So
he had a week.
Try assist.
Get on him. Josh King's the guy. You'll go out there and you'll get on him and he'll score you 35. It's coming. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
The Warriors squad, there is an interesting name here, boys. Tane Tuapiki. So he is in there at fullback with Nickel Clockstar injured. With that pretty bad concussion, he seemed to just poor head clash with poor Kamikamica's head won that battle quite significantly.
To the surprise of no one. Yeah.
Kamikamica literally looked like nothing had happened. He was just standing there going, "What's going on? I'm good, ready to go, boys." So Tuapiki, I personally think this is their best option at fullback. If it's not going to be RTS, I think Shans is not it. We've talked about this. He isn't it. Is there any universe? Draw it up for me. Todd Bowner, resident Warriors fan.
No.
Can he come out and brain it, cause an upset, and they say, yes, Tuapiki, you stay there?
No, they cannot. Only the protocols for Chance. This will be straight back to Chance at fullback as of next week.
And a wonderful lost season as a result. Cool.
Back to the wing for old team Tuapiki.
Love that for your team. Isn't that good? So, by that logic, Todza, you're not going to get too hyped about this one then, mate?
Certainly not. Not for me.
No. 1 week special against an ailing Broncos team in New Zealand. Free agent pickup, very low end if you really need to fill a gap in your CTW. He's probably not a horrible option. Ed Cossie, definitely the guy we should be talking about on this podcast.
Mate, we have Kurt Capewell and Ed Cossie in our back line this week. If the Broncos can't get right against us this week with Ed Cossie and Capewell in their back, then the Broncos are in some deep, deep trouble, brother. Holy.
Yeah, it's a big moment. But I was hoping, Todd's a bit of hype for you, mate. Your man, Jacob Laban, and also Big Halasima, who looked outstanding coming on. Jeez, he's a powerhouse of energy. Mate, can we get behind this? Or is this just 1 week while Capewell's down?
It's a 1 weeker while Capewell's into the backs there. But boy, howdy, if you need a plug and play for a guy who can probably bump, I don't know, somewhere north of 6 tackles off in any run and gets over the white line quite often, get behind this Leka Halasima. He's been good.
Absolutely. All right. That's it for there. I love seeing Bunty at forward back, mate. And I got to say, your bench forward was the best part of your game last week. They actually showed something. All right. Jackson Ford.
Though, which with Halasima, we say it's a 1 weeker, but Niokore is almost up. He's going to be up there in the top 3 most likely to get a HIA in any given week. Capewell's past both.
He's so bad.
In terms of an 80-minute edge guy, I don't even know what you guys do with Capewell now, but far out, the way the Warriors performed on the weekend, if you're Andrew Webster, if Halasima comes out and looks really good, he hasn't to beat much to get a good solid start in this team. I'd be pretty bullish on Halasima as a waiver this week. I wouldn't be saying he's top 3 or anything, but I think he's a pretty damn good claim because he's got to have as good a shout as anyone to just keep a spot if the talent's there. And
mate, I love it. I said in the chat last week, Kurt Capewell is no longer an edge. He's not laterally good enough. And I really hope that Leka Halasima comes out.
Now he's a centre.
Yeah, now he's a centre. I know. But I like your logic, Simmer. Yeah. I do like that.
Ali
Yeah, like if
Leotawa.
he's sorry, mate, you go.
I was going to say Ali Leotawa, so he's on the left. I'm trying to think of his runs. He's on the left, right? Get that right? Trying to think of where Capel will line up and who it's against. Because I tell you what right now, Katoni Stags.
I think Cape will be on the right,
moly.
yeah. He'll be on the right-hand centre.
Okay, so the opposite. All right. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
So it's Shibasaki.
Shibasaki has enough to go past Capewell, and
He does. If ever they probably think they can handle it, though. Shiba is a very straight line mover.
You'd prefer to handle Shiba over Stags, that's for sure. Yeah.
I think if they were smart, the Bronx, they'd just throw him on that other side and just say, "Mate, can you just fend all day and just burn him on the outside?" Because it would be nasty.
So, Tony, have they replaced Rocco Berry with Capewell based on form?
No.
Or is there an injury there?
Injury. I'm pretty sure Rocco's injured.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he picked up an injury.
I mean, it could have been either because
I picked up a ban,
it was just a
one
training
game ban.
run.
You got a 1 game ban.
Just a game.
Yeah.
It's just a stopgap. Jackson Ford, boys, goes in the middle. Has done some good things there with minutes, and JFH was obviously chewing up plenty, so really rough on the Warriors when they're struggling a bit. You happy with Jackson Ford here, boys? I think he's just that rock solid. Absolutely, he'll do plenty. I think he's a pretty comfortable waiver claim for me this week, especially if you've got a need.
I wouldn't be spending a high waiver claim on him. I'd be definitely a mid to low end waiver. I think he's got a good 50 to 55 in him this week, but that'll be pretty solid. But I wouldn't be wavering him.
Welcome, Junk Time. Thank you for the commentary. So Ali's been on the right hand side. Well, I can only hope, just as a neutral, to watch that and just watch Katoni do his thing. Because
I do not want to see Katoni Stags versus Kurt Capewell.
Tell you what, ATS or 2+ on Katoni seems very juicy to me. All right. So yeah, Jackson Ford. Look, it depends on need, Todd, because you're going to get 5 to 6 weeks there of a starter out of that with obviously JFH going down. So I would just judge it by what you need because he's easily going to be startable.
Yeah.
It started again. Razzle's on. G'day, Cal. G'day, Razzle. Good stuff. Over to the Broncos. Jordan Ricky is back. If he was dropped, I agreed with Toddy's analysis early in the year. I think he's just gone up a little bit in terms of work rate.
He's a sexy man. That was my analysis.
Yeah, these sexy men follow. They know each other, right? So fair play. Meso's got a question around the Warriors, so we'll bring this up. G'day, Meso. What do you make of Tamari Martin on the bench? Does he sneak into the 13? CHT to bench as more a dummy half? Pretty big risk. I also think, Meso, for me, I think if the Warriors were to blame CHT for them not winning, I think that's a bit harsh. He's actually been pretty decent this year. Is that your analysis, Todd, or do you think there's a chance?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed CHT, and I don't think there's any chance that he goes back to the bench. If they're going to do that, they would have done it earlier on the season. Tamari Martin's been available the whole time. Like, why would they change the halves now? I think that's just cover for all the backline because Tuapiki can play on the wing, and we've seen Tamari Martin play fullback too. So I think it's just backline cover.
Okay, nice. Thanks, Meso. All right, so back to the Bronx. Jesse Arthur's actually playing, which is a surprise. I thought that was a Cat 1 if ever I've seen it, but we'll take that. Jesse Arthur's owners in not a bad matchup. Ben Hunt, if you could please stop stuffing up the Supercoach output of most of your team right now, that would just be fantastic. He was awful last week. Absolutely one of the clunkiest performances at second receiver I've seen. His delayed passing, Simo, I think it's because he's used to playing first receiver these days. That little delay and he just holds off a second, brings the defense up, and then rushes the pass. Fire it out to Walsh. Fire it out to Katoni on the other side, but it's not working.
Yeah, you probably got a point there. If he's getting it off a sweep play or just 2 passes off the ruck from Reynolds to him, yeah, that could definitely be something. So hopefully for you, if you own these Broncos outside backs, you hope that they have a look at that and just dish it off quick. But it could be a bit hard for Benny Hunt because it's been a whole career of that. So it's going to take some learning, and he's an old dog now. It's going to take him a while to learn a new trick. So we'll see what happens.
I just think I'm looking forward to the run home for the Bronx boys. My advice would be if you can buy low on any Bronc for when Mam comes back and you've got him playing 9, with hopefully a fit Reynolds and Ezra back in that side, I think you're going to be pretty happy to own him on the run home, is my take. All right. And Xavier Willison, if you could find a way to a starting lineup, please. I think he is a Supercoach goldmine waiting to happen. But too many forwards with Carrigan in the front row, unfortunately. Over to the Roosters. Billy Smith, we will discuss this week, boys. Did play really well again, but is suspended for 1 week. He will come straight back into this side. I think that's pretty straightforward. Don't know who for just yet. Probably... I feel like Toy is in trouble. I know they want to say Dom Young, but with the Roosters getting a dub and maybe... Geez, they could easily do the Panthers this week, couldn't they? Really? As bad as the Panthers have looked. Would you be thinking Billy Smith should be picked up this week, Todd?
Oh, I definitely recommend it. Probably should have recommended it last week as well. It's just who he comes back in here for. I think it's pretty rough on Robert Toya if he comes back in for Robert Toya. I think he's done a hell of a lot wrong.
Who gets punted, though, mate? Do you really think the money that Dom Young's on and the talent that he has, do you really think he gets punted? I don't.
I would rather this team with Billy Smith in there and Mark Woodnong on the wing than Dom Young. So that's just me, though. I'm not a big Dom Young guy.
The Roosters fan here, Simo, do you agree with Todd's take, or do you think Robert Toya can, he's a young player, he can still take a bit of time here?
Yeah, sort of what I think versus what I think they do is probably different. But I think when you look back at last week, there was a bit of smoke around Dominic Young getting the axe. So I'd probably, just based on that, I think that's in Robbo's thoughts. So I'd probably say that's the first thing that would happen, especially if he lets in a try or two this weekend. It's obviously something that Robinson's not really happy with. So, just depending on what they think about sort of who's on. Because obviously Dominic Young's on big money compared to Robert Toya being a rookie. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, I would probably imagine that Young would be the first one to go, which is pretty crazy.
It is. You could well be right. I don't think Robert Toy has been that incredible since that start to the year either, just want to point out. He's been a bit quiet, both Supercoach and real life, but we'll see. All right.
It's just more that Dom Young's looked so bad in defence. Like,
yes, he has got caught out.
It's more than that Latrell pass. Like that was, there's going to be a lot of wingers, but he hasn't looked great. But I think, this week's going to determine a lot.
All right. Hugo Savala. Fantastic in-game kicking. Didn't do a hell of a lot else. Looks like he'll get the nod here for a while, boys. I think there'd be many leagues he's still sitting out there. Obviously, those who are relying on certain Parramatta halfbacks don't need now to look at that option this week. So, is there anything that can be said here for Savala, Todd? He looked very composed.
Oh, I would just be a free agent stash just to see what happens. He got 2RF eligibility as well as halfback, just to see what happens. Like, he don't have a good kicking game. If he can get some running game going and he lights up, he could easily put on some scores. So, just a free agent stash for me. Anything more for you, Simo?
No, that's probably fair. He might be one of those guys that maybe the real life doesn't match the fantasy for a while, especially without the goal kicking. If he was kicking goals, then those sort of 8 to 12 points a week would help a lot. But it's going to be hard to start him in your second row because he's probably not going to base a lot. But in halfbacks, it's been a tough position, so maybe. But I'm not super keen. I'd probably agree with your take there.
Some pretty big news in fantasy circles is Blaze Talangi holding his spot over Jack Cole, who is on the extended. Now, this is a bit of a surprise. I think we thought Jack Cole would be the one to come back in, given it didn't work too well last week. This is pretty huge here, Todzer, in terms of Talangi potentially hanging on as, with some season-long value. It surely gets better from here. So if people haven't believed yet, I don't think it's the worst time to get on either via a sort of a low ball offer at a ship position.
Yeah, don't mind it. I just feel like Jack Cole still comes back in here. Hey, I know he's been named the extended, but I just feel like they started with Jack Cole. They didn't go great with him, and he wasn't lighted up. But neither really has Blaze. He has done not a lot since coming in. So I just feel like they're going to go back to Jack Cole.
You could get him here on the cheap then, Simo, because I reckon that will be the belief of most. I was just really surprised to see Cole on the extended with Talangi named. And I know they could do the, the late switch, but that's significant though, right?
Yeah, well, Cole's been named in New South Wales Cup as well, which is
Yeah,
kind
there
of
you go.
another thing here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what Ivan would have seen out of Blazers' game that would have made you think to keep him because, look,
Yeah,
let's be fair, he had an absolute Murray Crocker the other night.
Yep.
He was you could just see it, like he was so caught between wanting to be a runner but also trying to play the structure, and it just it got too much for him, unfortunately. But in terms of Supercoach, look, if he can have a good game and brain it, he's always going to be one game away. And
That's right.
yeah, I feel like the upside's too great. And if you didn't try and buy low on him and he does brain it, you're really, really dirty that you didn't. And on the flip side, look, he could come out and be shit again, and then obviously Cole comes back in next week. But I think the way to play draft is you just got to have a crack at these moments when they come, and if they fall your way, then they fall your way. Just because, yeah, the upside far outweighs the downside for me.
Absolutely. In terms of upside as well, boys, we've had the backline changes that they kind of had to happen after how poorly they've defended on the edges. Thomas Jenkins moving to a wing is huge for his value for mine. I think that's a fantastic move to improve his upside. So very good for the Jenkins owners out there. Luke Garner to the centers is more of a benefit to Panthers defensively than their offense, but it is an improvement of having Isaac Tungo on the pitch. Not really sure why he's been named on a bench. That's a very confusing one for me. He can cover one position precisely. So I got nothing. Like, play New South Wales Cup, but anything for Garner at all? There isn't, is there?
Not for me in the centres.
No, it just doesn't quite work, does it? Is there a chance then, just looking at that bench, so can your Liam Martin and Sorensen get 80 minutes then? Because I'm trying to make sense of how the balance works here.
Well, I'm sort of thinking the Tungo thing on the bench. Like, obviously, if there's an injury to or a HIA to one of the second rowers, well, then Tungo goes on, plays centre, and then Garner goes to second row, which could be the rotation anyway, even if without a HIA. So, yeah, I'd probably think that's what they're going to do with Isaac Tungo there. Sorensen, Sorensen could still only get 60 odd minutes. If Tungo comes on, they push Garner in even without the injury sort of determining that. So it's probably how I'd look at it.
And Maso just saying about Jenkins playing on the wing last week. Yeah, Casey McLean, not a big passer of the football. That's a good point.
That is such a good comment because holy crap, was it frustrating watching Casey McLean.
That bombed one on the wing. That is one of the worst. We've seen a bit more of that this year in the league, boys. Have you noticed the play? I don't know. There used to be automatic. You draw and catch your man, and if anything, players would, like Teddy did a couple of weeks ago. You almost pass too early to try and get it right. But this dummy and go with the fullback committing to you. What? Why is this a thing all of a sudden?
Yeah, I think all fullbacks just get to try and smack the ball carrier as hard as possible anyway, even if he passes it.
Pretty much all you got.
How good was the Hammers the other day where they passed it early to him, but he was just too fast, and
he's too fast.
Even Teddy tried to turn and get him, and he just put the Jets on. It's bloody unreal.
Dang, he can move the Hammer. Hey, holy!
When he gets in the clear, I love that he just starts smiling immediately. Like, it's such an early celebration, but it's subtle. It's not like he doesn't give it the big stuff till he crosses the line. I respect it. We have a really important question here from Big Kiwi Nick. So he says, "Hey boys, I got a question. Do you think Darnell McIntosh, the Lee Leopards winger, is worth a pickup after his debut this week?" What are your thoughts, Simo?
I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I will say that your boy Will Price looked really good over there playing fullback. Had a moment or two the other day. So, one for the Knights. Missed out on another one there, mate. But
yeah, no, we'll grow good in the halves, and I can't wait to announce who's playing half for it this week. It just keeps getting better. Wow. All right. So not a lot of advice for you there, Big Kiwi Nick. We don't quite.
No, I got nothing for him,
mate. Sorry, not our go. Welcome to those listeners who've joined on. They've piled in late here, boys, and we're soaring up into the double digits. So beautiful. Oh, the Sunday game, the Gold Coast Titans versus the Canberra Raiders. I swear my brain thinks these teams play each other all the time. I don't know why. I just picture them playing each other and this sort of Raiders slowing the ball down and, not promoting points. But Jalen DeGroot, we've already said it. The kid he just doesn't have Supercoach upside. It's just sad. It's real sad. It's probably not going to come here either. Good to see the return of the Fifi darling. Owners out there delighted. He's back where he's supposed to be on the left wing. I got so many texts with the biggest amount of sarcasm I've seen. That's like, what a surprise. You play your gun player in his best position for as many minutes as you can, and good things happen around the ball. Wow. Coaching brilliance from Des Hasler. So obviously that's a huge one. Anyone who got on and bought him on the cheap, fantastic. Bo Fermor, boys, I quickly want to bring up as a buy low, a really obvious one because he's had to play in the centres. Scoring is way down. In leagues that are have less expertise, they might get sucked in to think he's having a shit season. You want to get on when he's playing in the back row. 80 minutes, fantastic player.
Love it.
Yeah, pretty easy one there. Aside from that, boys, haven't got much to report on other than I think this team now, at least it looks a bit more potent with Tino back, so it's a decent week to own Titans players, I think. Not too bad. All right, the Raiders squad. What an absolute dull tamale we had. I thought he was set up to absolutely go bananas last week, and it just did not happen with the low 20s. Don't know, Simo. He had to create his own stuff so far. Can I just get a bit of a temperature gauge on where Tamale sits in terms of CTW ranges?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's such a good generally he's a pretty good base stat sort of player, but unfortunately he's just playing on probably the wrong side of the field, to be honest, because whenever it goes left, the chance of it going to A, Hudson Young, or B, not even getting to Hudson Young because Ethan Strange is just dumbing it and stepping back infield, which last week worked a treat. Like he set up 3 tries or something, and he'll have weeks where it works for him, Ethan Strange, and then there's ones where it doesn't, and he just gets tackled and just stifles the attack. Yep. I don't think I've seen KO Week sweep to the left, barely all season, let alone like both sides of the field, but especially going to the left, pretty much never. So it's going to be hard for Tamale to sort of get those sort of gift tries that a lot of wingers get on the left-hand side of the field. Sort of a long way of me sort of putting the lay of the land out there for Tamale, but I still think he's fine as like a 3, but I wouldn't push him any higher because I just don't love the high-end upside. I think he'll base pretty well, but just different situation. I think there's a real Supercoach player there. It's just probably not in the current state of the Canberra Raiders.
It's the Jared Croker doesn't pass outside effect all over again, mate. Many times he would rob a winger of tries by going himself, admittedly usually in a very good fashion. With the return of Zach Hosking, this is a big moment, Todd. So you've got Matty Nicholson holding his spot for now with Morgan Smithies in the 13. As Hosking gets a bit of match fitness, though, we think red hot chance of coming into that 13 jersey. I think we've all kind of got those feelings.
Yeah.
I'm going to imagine Zach Hosking is not out there in a lot of leagues, but if he was, mate, now that he's back, do you spend the claim in the hope that he gets the 13 back and maybe hits 60-plus minutes?
Yeah, I think you do, mate. The upside is just so huge for Zach Hoskins, and if you're going to spend up and use your number 1, at least have that big upside there. Take that chance on the guy that could really change your whole entire season. I think Hosking has the ability and maybe the opportunity coming up to do that once he gets some match fitness back.
Yeah, I think Morgan Smithies doesn't seem to be as popular all of a sudden with Ricky, so he's seen the light, I guess. Decent shout there indeed, mate. We had an Ethan Strange sighting, or Ethan as I like to say for these guys that are named. It's hard to get behind that as a consistent option just yet in his career. Seb Chris is the one you want to own for some reason.
Don't figure.
Come on, Supercoach Gods. Just seems to be in the right spot pretty much every time at the moment for Canberra. He's the guy. It's like they've got a break and it's Seb Chris. Now, credit to the man. It means he's putting the effort in. He's obviously very fit. Defends pretty well. He's one of these guys, boys. We're going to keep saying no, don't bother, and he's going to keep scoring. So I'm actually just going to say put him in there. till it starts fizzling out.
Get behind it.
It's not exciting.
Sub 20 this week. Get behind it.
Oh boy! All right, so the Knights versus the Sharks.
What a towel
Oh,
up
here we
misery. Holy dooly.
Tyson Gamble comes in at the 7.
Gamble
Good
responsibly, but that is not a halfback.
He's certainly not a halfback. I could get around him as like a very inconsistent 6, but a halfback he is not. His in-game kicking is some of the worst you'll see. This is a recipe for absolute disaster.
He would look great at park footy though.
I will say though, you'd prefer him over what Crossland just dished up on the weekend, surely.
Oh, definitely over Crossland. Crossland is of the options that I would have, but even beneath Hastings, he's obviously not a halfback. He is a serviceable 9 most of the time when he doesn't overplay his hand, is what I'll say. But yeah, Tyson Gamble at 7, that ain't it. But that's the thing, Fletcher Sharp is not in-game 7 either, so that's not going to work.
You don't just think Justin Hastings should just play? Just play Hastings?
Unless he is in the worst shape of his life or he's injured and I'm not aware of it. He is the 7 for us right now.
He could be out there looking like Mark Tukey. He's got to be better than fucking Tyson Gamble, mate.
Shout out to the Tukes. Number 1 fan of the podcast, the Big Tukes.
Unbelievable, mate. Seriously.
It is crazy. Put Hastings in there. I couldn't agree more. We tried the Cogger experiment, and as Simo pointed out, that's the one I wanted to see. He has failed his audition spectacularly. It's not Gamble. And it's definitely not Phoenix Crossland. So, yeah. All right. That's enough. James Schiller's back. I really can't. I want to get excited because his work rate's really good, but it's really hard to trust these Knights when there's just such a disorganized attack structure is probably what it is. It's just all over the shop. They don't. And Ponga, guys, I thought we were being very careful with concussion checks and stuff. He's a man who's had a concussion record. He definitely got hit by his own player over the try line and looked concussed. Did not look that involved or well for the rest of the game. Very surprised that I saw that. So
was that the one where he was coming across? Was that earlier in the game?
Yeah, I think he got hit pretty early. He didn't look good, and he didn't look that involved from that point on. He looked different. So yeah, interesting one. But anyway, Matthew Croker is playing 13 with Tyson Frizzell playing in the middle. Not really sure how Matthew Croker qualifies as a starting 13, but we're in a bad spot here, boys. Any SuperCoach relevance? I know Meso asked about Croker last week. At least he's starting this time around.
He's ahead of the game.
I've got a little feeling that if Schiller was dropped or let go, I'll just pick him up and stash him, maybe even play him this week. I know you're saying about the structure, but I feel like James Schiller just creates a little bit himself, gets out dummy half. I just like the cut of his jib, and I think if he's out there, maybe a free agent stash or a low end pickup, I just think he's got something about him.
Good shout, mate. I do like the cut of his jib. He's got that work rate we love to see. Look, this was a no-doubter as of 2 weeks ago. I still think it's a no-doubter, personally.
It's still Kalen Ponga.
Kalen Ponga, pretty comfortably.
Then the straight, and then it's
also
Scott Drinkwater.
3, 2, 1. G'day, Dom. Drinkwater's unfortunately New South Welshman.
See, New South Welshman. There you go.
Unfortunately, yes.
Thought he's a Queenslander. So unlucky for him.
Dom, g'day, Dom. Ponga, early days for sure, but now Ponga isn't doing the best. Will they stay with Walsh? No, I don't think so. Walsh has a chance to light it up because the Broncos will hopefully get it going and stop relying on Ben Hunt. But it's Ponga. Bigger, better defender, better organizer, does a lot more things better. I'll stick with Dom. He's on fire. He's jumped in late. Hey, Potty, love the toddy. Good from you.
Second time I've read that today from Dom, which is nice. It's good.
So, haha, I could smell something brewing with the croak. Yeah, he used to just butcher.
Smell the croak, mate. How good.
I'm not going to go there. We're an above board podcast, all right? It's the injuries to Saifidi, Lucas, and Elliott giving opportunity. It is, Meso. If you want to get on Croker and start him, mate, fire away. He's decent enough. He's a decent enough player. Is he going to ball play and stuff in the 13? What's the strength of a Croker, boys? Like, he doesn't have a power game. It's not speed. It's not lateral ability. It's not ball playing.
It's nothing. He's worse than Adam Elliott, mate.
Oh, Adam Elliott's got Croker well covered. Jeez.
He's
No,
Croker's
he's
just
one of our best forwards, Elliott.
Jeez.
Bloody hell.
Good bloke.
Rough times.
You'd hope that Croker can last a pretty decent amount of minutes, but I just don't trust it.
I don't either. Meso, I want you to do it, mate, and let us know how it goes. Cal has chimed in as well, saying a good day.
Here he is.
G'day, Cal.
G'day, Cal.
That feels good every week, to be fair.
G'day, Cal.
G'day, Cal.
All
right. I really wish this is the part of the potty, like talking about my Knights, that I wish I didn't have to. But anyway, the Sharks. All right, what have we got here?
Green light, everybody.
Very start Trell versus Dogs
Ooh.
or KP versus Sharks. Must be nice to have these decisions. I think KP just, but I can understand the argument.
Rough. Nah,
Okay.
KP.
It's Ponga.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of us would be shocked if the Knights turned up what they did last week. I think, look, I'll give it this much. At least gamble for SuperCoach. He'll try some random crap. A lot of it won't work, but he has to connect with maybe one or two of them, and there's SuperCoach upside. So I actually think there's a likelihood of more points, just also more points for the opposition.
Those chances only come when he parks the ball to Ponga. That's all.
Yeah, well, the thing with the Knights, mate, is like their two wingers, just especially Marju, like I don't know why their halfbacks just keep putting up bombs on the fifth. Like their guys aren't going to come down with it. Gagai's not a tall centre.
No.
You just you don't have any aerial threats there whatsoever. So if you're Adam O'Brien, you might as well tell the Knights to just run the ball on the fifth, because putting up sort of these pop gun bombs that they do just doesn't work. So
it doesn't.
Carl's 100% right. It can't be worse than what Crossland did up on the weekend. Like it was just, he was basically just handing the ball over with the kicks he was putting up.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cal, I sort of ripped through that a bit quick. Sorry, Cal. He definitely can't be any worse than Crossland last week. Here. And good shout on KPP. Picked him up off free agent. Yes, the man, he does look for the offload. And if we can get rolling, he should be a guy who can sneak a try assist or two. So KPP, not a horrible pick.
This is the problem, boys, with that seven tackle set when you kick the ball dead now, is that teams like the Knights can't go to the grubber and chase through and try and create that way. So they actually had a disadvantage by not having a taller winger because of the 7 tackle set.
Agreed. I'd also like him just to chance their arm a bit more and actually play some shapes. I'll say that
dropout rule.
Does anyone enjoy watching the dropouts? To be honest, I think they're dog shit now.
I think the players just literally they're happier to kick it out and have a set line and just go like don't pay too much attention to being precise is what I mean.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
And I just miss seeing one go. I love when it goes long now because you get to see the big boppers run it back 15 meters. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see some idiot trying.
Well, I think the league with all the concussion stuff, mate, they're trying, just like the NFL kickoffs, they're trying to reduce.
We play a contact sport. Oh my god!
Just saying, mate, they're trying to find ways.
They got to do something. I've seen some people like throw out there some pretty crazy rules with like if it goes out in the full, it's like a 7 tackles restart, or like trying to find a way, like some sort of middle ground. It's going to be bloody hard to do, but like from a SuperCoach point of view, we all know what it's like when the team we've got a lot of players in is on the attack and they get a 6 again. Like they're not going to, the chance of them getting the ball back is whatever it is, 60% or whatever it's worked out to be. Like it really is so deflating when you're like, oh yeah, my guys could do something next set. And they go short and the other team gets it back and you're just like, far out. Here we are, just back into the grind. It's tough as from a SuperCoach point of view because it just lessens the attack on the game.
It does. And how many times are we just seeing the playmaker just die with a really crappy show and go attempt and just like flop to the ground?
Yeah.
And then and the commentators and everyone going, yeah, smart play. That's great. I don't agree at all. I think it's.
I want to see wingers flying into like the corners and tapping the ball back and someone's going like that, or getting a hand down the back far corner because he chased the whole way through on a grubber. Like that's exciting to me. Like this crap is just pissing me off.
Fair play, mate. I know you're a big fan of the officiating and how the game's run.
Yeah.
The Sharks squad. So coming off a W, Nico Hines, will you stand up, please? You should be the playmaker of this team, not Braden Trindle. But anyway, it is what it is. there's really nothing here, boys, is there, from a waiver perspective? It is what it is. Not hitting a lot of upside, though, across the board, this team, and not being the Supercoach juggernaut I think a lot of us had invested in. So there is some buy lows across the board. I'm going to throw it out there, boys. Nico Hines, for the first time in his career, pretty much, like you think about at the Storm, he exploded, when he finally got a gig, went to the Sharks, was, I think he led the league in Supercoach scoring that year on thereabouts, sorry. This is the first genuine buy low opportunity. You could get him now if you put a 2-for-1 up there for a decent halfback that has been going well, plus something. You could get Nico Hines. Is it worth it, Todd Mount?
Far out. That is a big question. I want to say it is. I really do. I want to back Nico in. Like, we've seen him just be an absolute Supercoach gun. Finding his feet with Trindle this year. Like, they looked okay at the end of last year. Finding their feet. I think there's a big buy low opportunity for Nico. The owners obviously not going to want to be getting rid of him, and hopefully they're thinking the same thing. But, yeah, I think it is a buy low opportunity if you go someone like a Fogarty and something, somewhere along those lines. Like, that'll be a pretty cool trade, and hope that Nico comes back to his best.
I was thinking, and I am the Moses owner, which we know. So, like a Moses plus something now that he'll be goal kicking for 6 weeks even versus the Nico owner. Just those sort of trades, Simo. He is gettable right now. I think you'd agree. But is it something? Would you be wanting to be the seller, or would you wanting to be the buyer?
Look, I don't own Nico Hines in any leagues, but I own him in Classic. So I'm not a big Classic guy, so I don't put a lot of stock into it. But he's someone I'd be pretty keen to sell in Classic from a Classic point of view, because he's just not living up to the price that he is. And when I think back to draft, it's like, do I think he'll bounce back? Yeah, but do I think he'll bounce back to the top 5 pick that he was drafted at? No, I don't. I think I'd easily have Hughes over him rest of season now.
Yep.
Like there's a scenario where I think he could come back to be the third best halfback, but I don't think he'll threaten those top 2 guys like he was on draft day. So I'd be more inclined to be on the selling side of Nico Hines if I was getting a deal that I thought really helped my team. Obviously, that's very specific. It needs to be quite a big offer, but yeah, like I wouldn't feel super confident buying him, thinking he's going to go back to like the top 5 pick that he was drafted at. So there's many scenarios out there where Nico Hines trades work out for both parties, which I think is why he's a good guy to bring up as a trade target. It's a tough one because, as I said, I don't own him in any league, so I'm not really. It's obviously a bit different if you owned him. But yeah, obviously the fact that I don't own him means that I'd be looking to buy, but I'm not really super keen on paying the price that's probably required to get him. So I don't think I'm that confident of him going back to probably the standing that it would cost to acquire Nico Hines. So
the halfback landscape is pretty barren, boys. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think we can really even extend that to Nathan Cleary or Jerome Hughes. No one's averaging very well this year in the halfbacks, apart from DCE, who has still went okay last week, but fair to say has cooled off a little bit in recent weeks after this news around his departure. So, Nico Hines versus DCE rest of season, Top.
I think I'd still want to be on the DCE part there. From what I've seen from Hines, I don't think he bounces back that much. I think that, he'd probably fit into about that 4th halfback for me in terms of bouncing back to there. Which I think if you're trying to get a trade for him, like a 2-for-1 trade, you probably that's probably weird that, best case scenario you're thinking, right? Like,
yeah, well, you look at Nathan Cleary only averaging 60.4 to start the season as well. Yeah, injury affected. Hughes not even averaging 60. Yes, injury affected. Dylan Brown could be one. Like Dylan Brown versus Hines right now is close-ish, just given Brown's shown a little bit more of late. He's got Moses on the way back. So it's tough, man. Like, I think I'm on the side of the buy low just because of the, the performance of those around him. So, you said Fogarty plus, depending on what the plus was, Todzer, I'd love to take a shot at Hines because if you get that right, the bounce back is enormous and you are going to you're going to run pretty well in your leagues. Nico's buy coverage also is elite. So there's a little extra factor. So I'm just on the buy, by the way. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. Can I quickly ask, if I put Cleary, replaced Hines with Cleary, are we all just assuming Panthers get their shit together and he actually becomes the superstar? There are some concerns there still with the Panthers not being good, because a halfback needs good forwards and they need guys that can finish. You're just confident he just rolls home the rest of the season, 20 plus average more than this? You're like, no doubt whatsoever?
No doubt. Cleary's that guy.
Are you that confident?
Mate, I absolutely love the fact that you've had the balls to ask this question, because I don't think anyone, not many people are going to come out there and say, look, Nathan Cleary's basically, he's saying he's a bust, right? If that's what's going to happen, like he would have to be a bust.
I'm definitely on the buy. Like he'd be another one if you could get him on the cheap, right? Absolutely. It's just interesting, isn't it, the way this halfback landscape has gone. We had these guys, 1, 2, Hines at least in the top 4, 5 at the most. They're just not really performing well. You got great value out of Reynolds. Isaiah Katoa has been outstanding for the Dolphins. 61 average where you got him. But a 61 average isn't going to win your leagues, right?
Yeah.
No.
Just curious.
Okay. To go back to sort of the nuts and bolts of why you've asked this question, like, I tend to agree with you that the Panthers clearly aren't right. Their team's pretty much as good as it's going to be. Like, this is it. Like, they've not got like, outside of Brian To'o coming back into this team, like, they haven't got like a really enforcer forward to come into this side and sort of change the landscape of their team. It is concerning. Like, the loss of Fisher Harris, it could be really big. It's proven to be really big.
Yep.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and be as confident as Toddy and say that, Nathan Cleary will turn it around, because based on what we've seen from the Panthers, like, these last few weeks, I've bought into the Panthers as much as a lot of people. Like, I've started pretty much both wingers and a fullback sometimes. I've started multiple backs from the Panthers pretty much in the last couple of weeks, and it's just ended crap every single week. And I just keep shaking my head going, surely the Panthers will turn it around. Surely they'll turn it around. At some stage, we've got to look at the mirror and go, this is the Panthers. Like, maybe they won't turn it around. So to sit here and say you got no doubt, I think is a big call at this point. Do I think they'll turn it around? Yeah, I do. But, geez, I have to still say that I'm not saying it's 100% like I would have 3 weeks ago.
And not to be the dominant force, Tods. I think that's the main takeaway here is, they're going to be just as vulnerable when they play Melbourne against any of the decent sides. Like, think about it. They've been getting beaten by teams, I think, on paper that aren't that flash. What happens when they come up against the better teams as well, mate? Like, you're going to be confident Cleary against the Dogs, for example. I mean, yeah, of course, you start Cleary every week, but do you think he scores 90 plus in that matchup? Probably not.
No, probably not. But I think over the course of the season, he tells up enough teams to get you the value and your wins you need. He's averaging 60, like, and that's him being pretty shit. Like, he uploads that by 10% when we're going good. So,
God, if he only averages 66, mate, he's a mega bust. But I think I get your point. You wanted to change the percentage a bit, but I get it. I get what you mean. Just thought it was a worthy conversation, and to say that halfback has been the surprise. I think we thought it was a lot deeper than what it was, and we're used to it being pretty reliable. It hasn't been this year. So, great question from Cal. Buy low on Ronaldo Mulatalo. How he's only scored 1 try for the year is a bit of a mystery. I think it is related to Hines not getting on the ball as much. If Hines started finding his feet, Cal, I think that Ronaldo would start scoring tries and it'd be a great buy low. Same problem exists as to what we were talking about. It seems that Trindle's the one that's given all this playmaking and it's just not working. He's not talented enough. So I'm going to say yes.
Good on the weekend.
I'm going to say yes, but I'm not going to be excited about it because I don't think Trindle, it just doesn't seem to be coming his way. Yeah. Any updates there, boys?
Oh, I just think you're being really harsh on Trindle. Like, he had 2 great try assists on the weekend. Looked like, to say Trindle can't do it, I think it's a bit harsh.
Did not having a good week, one good week, just like Kennedy a couple of weeks ago, does not make a season of a title push as they're supposed to have. If they want to win, it's Nico. But yeah, that's me. If he puts a few together, Simo, sure, I'll probably start to come around on it. But I think consistently Trindle has not shown it so far, as in the halves.
It seems to be what Fitzgibbon wants, and that's what worries me.
That's what I mean, mate. I think he thinks, and that's going to reinforce the fact they won off the back of Trindle. It's just, that's not good for Nico Hines. All right, boys, on to the big news of the week. And as you let in, Simo, Lockie Galvin not only not re-signing beyond next season, but now being dropped. There's some conjecture on the basis of some player revolt. Appy and Luai allegedly saying they don't want him in the team. The management of this scenario for him to have to be forcing his hand, a year and 2/3 out from his contract expiry, something has gone horribly wrong here for this young man. There was that issue with him where he wanted to be played sooner. Remember, he had that injury and there was all this back and forth. So it's been, maybe that's the bad blood that set in for him. Very similar to Sam Walker not end up playing for the Broncos. So, boys, Lockie Galvin, I mean, you're not just going to drop him because you hope that somehow he makes his way back to the starting team, but it could genuinely be the end of his run at the Tigers, Todd.
Yeah, I think it is. I think he's done. Latu finally come back into this team too, so that's what I assume will happen with Dewey going back to the backs. But they seem to like Latu. But yeah, I mean, Lockie Galvin just forcing his way out, and what a weird situation. I just don't understand. Like, what benefit does it give to Lockie Galvin now to do this? I don't get it.
What benefit is it to the Tigers, Todd, is the biggest one. Like, he clearly is their chance of finals football, I think. Like, I'm not saying he's been amazing to start the year, but he is still a 19-year-old who's shown plenty. And he's a trier. Like, at least he confident lad, just keeps going. I just hate it for the Tigers because they've actually been, pretty competent this year. I think this makes it very hard for them to compete. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not as negative about that. I think once they get Latu back and Jerome runs this team, we saw last year Jerome run the Panthers. I know this is a completely different side, but Tigers are showing up this year. They look like they got a bit about them, and get Jerome staring them around, come to the club as a 7. So I think they won't be as bad as you're saying there.
Jerome Luai has been absolutely abysmal, SuperCoach-wise. Some of the worst scoring we've ever seen from a starting half, especially one who's on as much money as he is. Has been decent real life, though. That's just not a critic of his real life performance.
How much money he's on in real life has nothing to do with how much his SuperCoach is.
And the fact he's actually done his job quite well to steer that team around. That's why they're competitive. That's what I mean. So we're definitely not being critical of that. But I am curious, according to what I'm looking at here, named in the 6, is he actually going to be more of an ball, like less of the ball player, more of the runner, where he could hit SuperCoach, Simo?
Yeah, well, that's crazy. Like, that's the crazy part of all this for mine, is that the fact that Luai's jumped straight into the number 6 jersey and not Dewey, like they push Dewey to 7, which just makes you shake your head. Like, it really rings of like Latu Fainu getting the crack at 7 when he's back.
It actually does.
It'd be so crazy if behind all of this, Luai just wants the 6 back and has just gone to Benji and say, "Nah, get Galvin out of there so I can play 6. Give me my jersey back."
Well, Simo, or was it part of the master plan with Latu in the, like, as in at some point, if Latu was going to take over, they literally were like, well, if we can't retain Galvin, because it had been talked about for a while, maybe that's a better fit with Latu at 7 and Luai at 6.
Yeah, possibly. And yeah, if Latu's a bona fide 7 that he sort of touted to have been, like, it would make sense to put Luai in the position that he's played his whole career. So I guess the big question, boys, is like, there'll be a lot of people out there. You own Lockie Galvin. What do you do with him? Do you sell him for 30 cents on the dollar? Do you hold him? What do you do?
It's a hold. It's just a hold, and you just hope that, Tigers, if they come out and Dewey struggles or gets injured, touch wood, he's a very injury-prone player. Latu is... What's Latu Fainu's? I thought it was just concussion, but he's not named even on the extended. Is he just playing New South Wales Cup?
No, he copped an injury.
Okay.
It was a 2 or 3 weeker. I can't remember what it was now. Maybe hips, ribs.
I thought he was just a concussion. Okay, so Latu Fainu then, based on how this is shaken out, he's not the 7 option ongoing. We know that. So is
he's been so good in the centre too, Dewey. Like, he's been real good.
He's good. He's a good player, Todd. Given all his injuries, he's held up really well. So with that information, like, is Latu Fino stashed this early, or is it too early to even do that?
I'd be stashing him as a little free agent stash if I could.
Me too. Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
Only 5'8" eligible, but the upside is there. And
given how rough 5'8" is, if you're the Lockie Galvin owner, should you prioritise the Latu Fino pickup on your bench and maybe sneak a waiver in?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if he's on the option.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's going to make you feel nauseous doing it, but you probably need to, because I cannot imagine in anything 10-team league or greater you're going to have many good options out there. So it probably is. Or go hard to play Lungy would be the other one for me if I was the Galvin owner.
Yeah. I think the best thing with Latu is obviously the fact that they play in the same team. So if weeks come, let's say we're 3 weeks down the track, 4 weeks down the track, the Tigers, they play a lot of Sunday games late in the week. Like, they've obviously got the Monday game this week, which is the last game of the round. Those situations make it bloody hard if there's someone ruled out late or whatever. So the fact that you've got Latu Fino there as just a straight swap is something that isn't irrelevant in this discussion. So I think that's kind of handy to have.
Over to the Eels, and there have been some changes that could be decent for SuperCoach. So Jack Williams is back playing number 8. Now, he is 2RF eligible, but he's actually been decent, your boy, Todza. Just looked at his stats tonight. Ideally, he will get the FRF, round 12. He will get FRF status. Yep. Can you hold him around for just long enough, mate? They actually play the bye in round 12 as well, just for those who play buys. So, mate, he's probably good enough to own as well, right?
Yeah, look, real fringe sort of 3-4 kind of guy. When we get some minutes, like I think in his last game, he played 70-odd minutes for a 60-odd.
Yeah.
So that's when we really want him to get the minutes. But he can play big minutes through the middle there in the front row rotation. So, yeah, I do think he's a bit of a stash, and just to see what happens with him.
Yeah, if you can get that, he's an easy FRF too if he's going to be playing big minutes like that, and it's not exactly a
50-plus minutes, 50, 55, you're good.
Just a good sneaky one. It just chews up a roster spot for a while. You probably prefer not to play him in your 2RF if you can. The other one is preseason darling and end of last season darling. Kelma Tuolangi returns.
Oof.
Oh boy, God knows what you do with this Eels back row now. They're just chopping and changing every week.
I will not be going back to that well. Holy!
I was going to say at best free agent if you're desperate in the 2RF, but just don't.
If you want negatives, the easy guy. He might score -4.
He could. Who knows, boys? Like how this all shapes out with these players. It's just they're coming and going left, right, and center. It's a mess.
No, it's disgusting. Like the fact that you've just got 4 forwards on the bench. You've got Matt Dory still getting a run.
4 forwards too. Holy.
On that bench. Read them out there if you got the list there, Todd.
Dylan Walker, Luca Moretti, Matt Dury, and Sam Tuiviti. Like, Tuiviti's showing some, but Dury, Moretti, Dylan Walker, I mean, meh.
What's Sean Lane done to get a drop, boys? I'm being sarcastic.
Mate, did you see him play last week?
Oh,
Jesus,
it
was
horrible. It's got more rough than you've expected at this stage of his career. Like, that's just gone. It's completely gone.
I just don't know what Jason Rolls is doing. Like, how do you not have like a bench back or something to? Like, you just don't need to have 4 forwards on a bench when you've got, these guys that you can play big minutes. Like Junior Paulo's a big minute front rower. We just talked about Jack Williams as someone that could potentially play more minutes. Obviously, Jermaine bloody Hopgood, for Christ's sake. Like, it's just I don't know what's going on there at the Eels. It's just I just don't even see Rolls' direction, and that's
no.
I said the same last week, and it's just going to keep pissing me off all year, I think.
So obviously, owners of Mitch Moses, you've kind of got the double win with him coming back a bit earlier than what we'd had reported, and will obviously goal kick now with Lomax's injury. So we've got finally a bit of light at the end of a very dark tunnel. Catch you later, Jake Clifford. It's not been swell, apart from 1 week where you were amazing. Jermaine Hopgood, boys, the conversation of buy lows. We've talked about him a couple of times. Simo's had him as a mad owner the last couple of weeks, especially with this hooker rotation thing. I've had him in the listener league. I thought he was a great pickup. He's one of the easiest buy lows in the universe right now. You could get him for a song. Should you, Todd? Just be the casting vote here.
Yeah, you should go out and try and get him.
He could turn it around, but with that bench, especially with Dylan Walker on the bench, it is brutal to look at right now. So
yeah, it is tough for the forward bench, but like you just think he's your Queensland forward, like just get it. He plays massive minutes. I just don't understand it.
to the
What gets
surprise
me,
of no
Toddy-
one when they beat the Dragons was when they had Junior Barlow and Hopgood actually looking like they'd offload the ball second phase play. Well, there's a surprise,
Yeah.
Rolls. Your team actually looks potent in attack for the first time all season. Shuts it down last week. Atrocious.
They will not win games if Hopgood is having like whatever he had. But last week, I think he had 3 runs. Like when he was playing dummy half, like he did not have a meaningful run because he's obviously not a dummy half. Like Parramatta's sort of strength should be second phase and then early ball to Moses and Brown. Like just keep it that simple and you should go all right. But how you've got Hopgood there and not giving him 55, 60 minutes at the position he plays best is just mind-blowing to me.
It really is. It's tough. It's a tough watch. So another good buy low there. So boys, that gets us through the games. I do enjoy a Easter Monday game. It's always fun to have that extra sort of rollover. So good luck to listeners this week. Got a couple of questions, I believe. I think I saw one already. Simo was around buy lows. Was that right?
Yes. I think it was our best mate, Eggs11.
Eggs11.
X.
Hello, sir.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was who are your best buy low and sell high targets at this point in the season?
She's been coming a few of those today, I reckon.
I think we've gone pretty well for Eggs11 there. Hopgood, Hines being the two absolute standout buy lows of the potential elite territory player.
Reece Walsh, buy low, anyone?
Easy. They will change it. The Bronx, if they're serious, it's gonna change. He is so close to having a much bigger week. He was very close on the weekend.
Just not this week against the Wires.
I tell you what, is that a chance? It's a chance to hit the second big bit of upside in a game instead of just one.
Go Medium Stadium, please. Sold out. Give shit his pants again.
Love it. He's very
next one,
comfortable
boys.
there, mate.
Yes, Adam B. Stock.
G'day, Adam.
Easy.
Have to drop Skelton, unfortunately. It's a bit rough.
That is rough.
Campbell Graham is his top priority. He's then got Stafford Toa and Grant Anderson in that order. Would you disagree with that list, that ranking?
Nailed it. Anderson on the wing would be ahead of Toa, but Anderson in the senses is not quite as juicy.
Man, do you know how good Stafford Toa's been, dude?
I do. That's why I kept the order.
Unreal.
Same as.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go. I'd have Campbell Graham over, especially if he's on the left wing. Then that's gone very well.
That's fair. But Stafford Toa's been baller.
Yep, mate. You don't have to ask me. I'm all about. I picked him up in the Listener League after your love. Kid can ball.
Speaking of the Listener League, this one's from Shred. Avid supporter of the
Shred.
show, and he's in the Listener League.
Hello, mate. Good gear.
Best backup 5'8" out of Finu, Flanagan, or KO Weeks. Backup being the operative word there.
Latu.
Yeah. Yep. Weeks and then Flanagan. Weeks has to do more than this, surely.
Yeah.
That's not absolutely a slam dunk between 2 and 3, but
well, I think we're probably all at the point where we'd rather just go with Latu because we don't know what he's. Just go with the unknown, right?
yeah. Weeks has just had enough time to show more and show that he can actually play the sweep in any capacity.
He's had weeks of it, mate.
I don't understand.
No,
what do you
I
mean?
didn't think you would.
is that all from Extimo?
That's it, mate. Just those.
You mean he should get on board?
I'm not going there.
Get on board. I think Todd has missed that one.
Yeah, that's missed me, mate.
Alexander Downey. Hello, sir. Thomas Kent or Dylan Egan? Phenomenal question because there is the current value winner, Thomas Kent, I think quite comfortably. There is the rest of season winner, not as clear. I'll go to you first, Todd, man.
Oh, that would be if I had the number one waiver and these two blokes are there. I am wavering. First, I'm wavering Thomas Kent, then Dylan Egan.
Can't play 13 Simo, or even Lucas is too good an edge back rower not to go to play in that position. But could Thomas Cant theoretically take the 13 jersey?
He has done it at New South Wales Cup as early as this year, and he was a baller there.
This is what I was thinking. If Matt Croker is there, I know Elliott's currently out, but he was not in favour at the start of the year. Frizzell officially now in the middle. Obviously, Jay safe to come back as well. Mate, I think he could win that 13 jersey. I really do.
Did you know that New South Wales Cup last year, the Knights beat the Roosters, I think it was 56 blot, and Cant scored 3 tries, but also kicked goals. So just keep that in mind.
Jesus, all right then. So I think in answer to your question, in answer to your question, it is a resounding Thomas Can. Dylan Egan, not a bad second prize though. That's pretty good stuff. Great question, Alexander. Thank you.
That's a good question though, because they're both really good values.
Yeah. Great question. Both easily number 1 waiver options or trade options. Simo, that's it for X, sir?
Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful. Great questions from the listeners. Over to the Book of Face, as you call it, Todd Mount.
The Book of Face, yes, mate. We have 2 questions tonight. The Book of Face. First one from Dominic, who has been live in the chat today, the big
Hello,
dog.
Dom.
He says, hey, Potty, love the totty. Enjoyed that one again. Is Sam McIntyre having a resurgence or still just going to be a letdown? He also asks, well, I got that one first. Yeah, Sam McIntyre. Is he resurgent
playing on the edge? Did score some points playing on the edge. Johnny Bateman, shorter, just rip back into the first team and annoy the hell out of all of us. Probably.
Yeah, bit of letdown coming up.
I'd love to know, has he been a top 20 front row forward this year to date, McIntyre?
He had a 60-odd on the playing on the edge just the week gone. Probably.
Geez, front row's been, especially front row 2, like anywhere from 10, 20, it's been rough.
The Junior Barlow experience this year with his brilliant 60-odd with offloads a week before, you're like, oh, good, I can settle in now. He's going to just get me 50s. 20-odd. Barely played, barely touched the ball. Literally wanted to bar.
Sam McIntyre is front row number 20.
Yes, boy. There it is. Good stuff.
There you go.
Dom, Dom sharing in the lols. Yeah, look, if he was to keep the edge spot over Bateman, well, yeah, sure. Oh God. Get this smut off our screens. Totola or McIntyre, them group pickings. Well, McIntyre being on the bye makes it pretty easy for this, but Jesus, is Totola doing enough to be FRF2? Probably looks like it based on some week, but
he scored 38 last week, Totola, so far out.
I know. Prefer if you didn't have to, you know.
Second part of Dom's question, boys, is Sebastian, Chris, and Jake Averillo are both on waivers. Are they secretly good or just a mirage?
Oh, God. I don't want to answer that one, Simo.
I got to give a shout out to Dino, one of our good league mates. He's slightly been the Jake Averillo trooper. This whole probably the last 3 years. He just randomly waivers Averillo, drops him.
Yep,
and
he does.
He did not have Averillo even on his roster last week when he went absolutely berserk. And he's been on this guy for at least 2 or 3 seasons when everyone else has just not even looked at him. So, look, shout out to Dino. Hopefully he gets on the Averillo train this week. And if he brains it against me this week, I credit to him because he bloody deserves it. To answer his question, I mean, is 1 week play, Toddy, or rest of the season?
Mate, it does not say.
1 week play, it's definitely Chris because you're not going to go Averillo against the Storm. Chris has got a good matchup against the Gold Coast.
He does.
So, yeah, definitely Chris this week. Rest of season, flip a coin. I guess I'll just say Chris, but
yeah, I'm probably the Chris chain. Chris gang.
I don't really have any sort of strong feelings on either.
All right, boys.
Very nice.
Well, the second question on the Book of Face from our good mate Anthony Mason.
Mason, g'day.
Wonderful.
Anthony.
Wonderful. He says, huge TLT today. Absolute carnage. Question 1. Which 4 CT dubs would you start of these 6? Get ready. I'm ready.
He loves these. All right, fire away.
Saab, Tommy Talau, Lehigh Hapawadi, Jesse Ramian, Stoner Street, and Jenkins.
So there's 2 obvious ones, Lehigh and Ramian.
Yep, correct.
I would then go out of the other 2, I'd go Jenkins and Stone Street or Saab. I'd go Stone Street against who are the Sharks got a good matchup, isn't it?
They're playing the Knights, mate. So
they're versus each other.
We defend pretty well.
The Knights.
We defend all right. That's
give
one
me
thing
Stone
we
Street
do.
against Marju. Yeah.
I'll take Saab against the Dragons to score a couple.
Lovely. I'm with Simo there. The second question for Anthony. He says, is Dylan Eager waiverable given his name on the bench? Definite.
Yes, sir. Number 1 with a bullet.
Hell yeah, brother.
Unless, I'll tell you what, some leagues out there. Yeah, Simo?
I was just going back to Greg Marju. Like, that bloke's offloading at will from his own end and making errors every game. Like, surely Adam O'Brien has to say something to him about that because it cost them the game well, it wasn't the only thing, but it definitely contributed to them losing the game and has done pretty much all season.
It is potentially, though, Simo's saving grace is with the complete lack of attack anywhere. Trying to create something and make something happen is better than just running the ball 1 out and losing a game. So, sure, I hear you. It tires the defense out. I get all that stuff.
Tackle 1 and 2 coming out of your own end, though. I mean,
he hasn't been great.
They're like 2 players behind the ball. It's just like tell him to have tackle 4 runs and do that. It'd actually be quite useful. But yeah, anyway, just a side note.
It is, but great questions from the listeners. Thank you. Thank you to those who've tuned in. We got up near 20 strong tonight. Continues to grow the brand. If you could give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, that would be fantastic as we keep looking to grow. The Listener League, just a quick check-in. The only thing that matters at the moment is that you've got Simo, number 1, Todza, number 2, yours truly in 3rd position.
The boys are doing the work.
BDE merch drop, says Dom. Look, not quite at that stage yet, Dom. We need just a wee bit more support, old son. But I tell you what, mate, you're firming as the number 1 fan early here. I'd say you and Meso having a mighty battle. And g'day, Cal.
G'day, Cal.
G'day, Cal. So, look, good stuff. Love it. We're not quite at the BDE. That would be a good bit of fun to have. But anyway, awesome bringing it to you tonight, listeners. Love the support. Simo, thank you for your work, Mr. Expert.
Thanks, mate. Shout out to Cal. Don't think the spoon's coming my way in the Listener League, mate. Just saying. So keep that
yes, Cal.
Get it up, you Cal.
Yeah, not quite coming last, is he? Don't back against Simo in fantasy sports. The kid runs good, I tell you. He runs bloody
Get that up, yeah.
Does it all.
The Todd Mount, I've enjoyed the purple hat aesthetic, mate, looking sharp as ever.
That's what I do, mate. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Never a chore.
Good stuff. You actually said that with more sincerity than usual, mate.
Yeah.
That's good from you.
Yeah.
All right.
You said that before.
He's just not very sincere as the Todd. Good thing he's beautiful. All right, listeners. Enjoy the footy this weekend. As always, get that BDE India. Oh, yeah.